I'm Juana, and I have to start with a confession. It is my first, let's say, geek conference. And they said, you're going to give a lightning talk. Go straight to the lightning talks board, write your name, it will be full already. And then I get to the lightning talks board, and empty. And here I have the privilege to start to talk about ArrrrSoc. Before that, because I have to practice my geek humor, does anybody know what tiny yuts mean? Okay, so this is not yet another technical talk. It will be an informative talk. And because people were asking me, like, what are you talking about? Let's please all stand up, and we will all find out together. We have to do this very quick. It's an exercise. We will do a quiz, 20 questions, okay? You have to do this. It's the question and 2 answers. If it's A, you have to face the left wall, but if you think it's B, you face the right wall. Everybody understood the? Okay, let's start. Okay, so what does ArrrrSoc stand for? A, Rails Girls Summer of Code, or B, Ruby Google Summer of Code? By the way, who is mistaken sits down, okay? Okay, because usually technical talks don't work, so if I would press now, maybe you would find out the answer. I will just tell you the answer. So those who answered A were right. ArrrrSoc is Rails Girls Summer of Code. Next, what is its mission? A, help girls, students find paid internship on Ruby and Rails, or B, help girls, students get into open source projects? Okay, be correct, so I'll invite you to sit down. Now, very quick. This is binary, so how many months did it take? 0, 1, 1 month, or 1, 1, 0 months? Quick, quick, quick. Okay, 3 months, so whoever said A is right. Whoever said B is wrong. Next one, how can you help? A, be a coach next year, donate some money for the program, or C? Okay. Thank you. You may now sit down. You will soon cheer up to get out of the stage, so I have to tell you some more information about it. Basically, there were 18 teams that worked on open source projects using Rails. Some of them are pretty famous for us, like Diaspora, Bundler, Impress.js. 10 of them were paid using the money raised by the Rails girls. 8 of them, however, were volunteering for this summer. How was this possible? Of course, money was an important part, and here are some sponsors that were supporting it. Here's some more, and a bit more. Okay, of course, behind the scenes, there's a whole team of people that helped. Besides the team, there were 26 coaches, 20 mentors, 9 supervisors that encouraged the girls, and 10 speaker coaches. Thank you, Arne. Thank you, Flor. To tell you my side of the story, because my pair left, I was a volunteer team. My pair left, she said, no, I'm not going to do this. I want to go to be paid, and so she did some Java this summer. I reviewed the book. I did my thesis in Rails, but on a scale from 9 to 10, let's say, I'm somewhere between 2 and 3. So I still want to learn. That's why I want to start a Rails group in Belgium, because I'm now located in Belgium. So whoever is interested to help, I will ask you to kindly find me at the back of the place at the end of the conference, and then we'll see what we can do about it. Thank you.
Oh, can we see that? That'll do. Yeah, probably. Okay, Let me see. So, Ruby, great. Oh, my screen's breaking here, so I can't actually see it. Ruby, great. Robots, awesome. Let's combine them together. Right, okay, so I do have a bit of a confession. This isn't all in Ruby. What you can see here is a video stream from the AR drone, which is running on a Node.js process. But let's just pretend it's Ruby. Let's implement it. Right, okay, so on that side of the screen, you'll see there's some code. So if I run it, the drone's going to take off. It's going to change the LEDs to the snake formation, so you can see all the colors are changing. And it's just going to go up, and it's just going to hover. So if I can find... Cool, the process has ended. So if we comment out this bit, don't need to take it off anymore. Whoa, you go over there. Live coding with hecklers. Fuck off. Right, now if I make it go forwards... Oh. Okay, it landed. That wasn't what I wanted. Oh, yeah, because... Oh, man, this 5 minutes is going to go quick if I have to keep resetting it. There is a reset option in Ruby, but I don't remember it. So anyway, this library was written by Jim... Oh, shoot. Written by Jim Weirich, and it's pretty cool. Okay. I could. But text... I paid for TextMate, so. Oh, man, my hair, this microphone, this isn't working. Right, okay. You stay there. Right, okay, so so I've called my, do not connect to this Wi-Fi hotspot, by the way, otherwise it won't go right. Okay, let's try just getting it to turn around. We need to take it off. And then we'll get it to hover, land, and stop. Hope you can all read this. It's Ruby. It's simple, right? Oh, yeah. Just need to restart this. Good old Node. Web scale, see? Right. Is it working? Yeah. OK. Right. Let's run some Rubies. So it's going to take off. Oh, shoot. It's going to take off, and it's going to rotate, and it's going to land. That wasn't quite... Okay, let's try one more little demo, quickly. Oh, 2 minutes, okay, right, so. Screw Ruby, Node.js. Right. So, great thing about open source is Jim wrote a load of this code to do stuff with Ruby, because obviously Jim likes Ruby, because he's awesome. And, but not all of the features are in Ruby yet, so I'm going to write some more code so we can do more cool stuff with node copters in Ruby. But until I've done that, why is this not working? Come on. Oh, I don't get Node, it's weird. There you go, right. Ooh, okay, so what we can do is what the bits that really aren't in Ruby yet are all of the animations. So if I do Node, so they're only in Node so far. Oh, what's it called? So Node drone.js, it should take off and do some animations. And then go on a world of its own, and it's going to... Okay, hang on. So I've got 38 seconds. So I was using a gem called Argus from Jim Weirich. There's actually a higher level one called R2, but it's much easier, even though it wasn't easy to use Argus. Written by Jim Weirich. He's so awesome, the inventor of Rake. This is an AR drone. It's got a HD camera, gyroscope, Wi-Fi, accelerometer, downward-facing camera, magnemometer, or whatever it's called, ultrasound. It's running Linux, so you can actually run Ruby on it if you spend 3 weeks. Oh, Skynet. This isn't going to be Skynet. Node.js, Node conf days, they're great. More people hacking. There's Jim. There's some people. There's more people. Oh, BDD, when it hits the ceiling and then it's going to crash, you've got to write code to get it back down. So behavior-driven development, your drone's going to crash. You need it to land. Skynet, RP, Jimbo. Thanks.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, so my name is Hector. I came all the way from Mexico. I'm going to talk to you about something that I enjoy, like Adby said yesterday. I'm going to tell you something, I'm going to share you something that I really enjoy. And let me begin with, what do we have in Mexico? Well, in Mexico, we have tacos, we have tequila, and we have a lot of developers. Sadly, those developers are like scared throughout the country, and it's hard to find them. It's really hard to share the stuff with them. So our company, and we are like 40 developers, Ruby developers, and we're making efforts to glue or to gather all those people and create places where they can meet. One of those efforts, it is Rails MX. It's our Mexican Ruby Rails community. We have like 300 members right now, and the number is growing every day. Also, the girls from the company create the Codificadas. It's a Rails Ruby group just for girls. And our biggest effort, it is Magma conf. It is a conference as cool as this one. And it is focused in tools, techniques, and experience in web development. At the beginning, it was focused only on Ruby and Rails, but after the pass of the years, we think that it was better to expand the scope and include other technologies. And believe me, it is not like a regular conference. First, it's on the beach. It's on a place called Manzanillo. It's on the Pacific Ocean, somewhere like there. And we have stuff like Magma Village. That is a set of 15 beach houses where all the speakers, well, mostly all the speakers and attendees stayed for the conference. You can grab a beer with them. You can eat lunch, eat dinner with them, go to the ocean, go to the pools, play football. It's really cool. And this village is only 6 minutes from the venue. And other super cool stuff that we have in the conference, it is that we have our own live real lucha libre event, like with local wrestlers. And after the wrestlers finish, all the attendees wants to get into the ring and do this stuff. And also we throw a great party. Every year it's like awesome party there. We also have a party on the boat, like this one. You know, if you know this guy, it's Constantine Haza. And maybe you're thinking, okay, Mexico, who has come to the Magma Conf? Well, people like Brian Lyles, Scott Chacon, Dr. Nick, Rick Pollack, GitHub. Sonia Green from GitHub was there this year with a lot of GitHubbers. Also, Adam Patterson was there. And MagmaConf is the kind of conference where if you're a speaker, you will get yourself cartoonized. And also, you will get your custom-made mask. Super cool. So I want to invite you to, if I came to here, you can do it the same way. Call for Papers is open in November. I have cool swag for you. I have a couple of masks. If you want to, just find me. And stickers and stuff. So that's it, MagmaConf.
So now I'm ready. Hello, guys. Thank you. I'm Peter. I'm third on Twitter, or senior developer, one of the guys doing these senior developer shirts. So if you want to get some, come to me. I'm going to talk about live coding, so coding on stage. As we saw with the drones, it's not so easy. And this is live coding for lazy people, so I'm very lazy, so I don't want to prepare myself for talks. So for today, I'm totally unprepared, and you will notice. So yeah, that's me live coding. I have no idea what I'm doing. Fail, fail. What the fuck? And then I write scripts. And after I write scripts, I think, yeah, maybe I can do it with a script, but basically, no, still have no idea what I'm doing, and doing it all wrong. And so I try to be practicing it. Yeah, a little. I'm not on Facebook, but on Twitter most of the time, oh, well, that's interesting. So that's why I created some gem that helps you with live coding. It's actually a stolen idea from some Python guys, and also a thing that's called Piano Player. So it pretends that you can actually do real good live coding. So that's me with my game, computering. Whee! I'm so awesome. And I'll show you. So don't need this. Oh no. Spoiler, spoiler. Fuck. So it's an executable, and you have a DSL that you can start your live coding session. So I am live coding, I can type really fast, and it's also in color. Can you see this, or should I be doing like this? That better? Okay. So I can type really fast, and also 100% accurate. So you see, magic. And it's not also typing. You can do stuff like, I'm opening this file, boop. Unicorns, woohoo, awesome. Or I can do other stuff oh, so shit, I fucked it up. It writes headlines for you if you want to, but it can write simple text, like you see, or some fancier, doing lists, if you want to be really fancy. Or what's the next? I forgot. Damn. What is it? You can open stuff in your browser, and this is what you saw before. Yeah, it's this is computering, Computering. Yeah, run stuff on my command line. And also, I can write magically expectations and mini-test just in there and execute it. Yeah, I'm so awesome. One assertion. True must equal true, and yes, I did it. So what is also meaning, you always have to type on your computer because it needs some input to actually print out the characters. But I created something to work with the leap motion. I don't know if everybody knows the leap motions. Whoa, fuck. Sorry. It's a device. It's a device that captures your finger movement, so you don't actually have to do all the fancy typing on your computer. And let's see how that works. So it's a feature branch, Check out, boom, bam, woo. So I'm starting another presentation with my leap motion. Let's see how this works. Start leaping. Yeah, I will do that. Let's see how it works on stage. So, magic. Come on, fucker. It's faking it actually. Oh, what? So there's gestures involved. If I have put up some fingers here, it thinks I must be typing. Usually it's from 7 to 9 fingers up here. I think it's the light in here that makes it worse. Let's try it over here. Yeah, no. And the gesture to get the next thing up. Yeah, live coding is hard. Live leap motioning is even harder. Fuck. Thank you.
So, hi, I'm Martin, and my code sucks. And this is a presentation about AA code review. So first of all, I may need to specify what exactly I mean, because this AA thing, it could be AA grade code review, that looks really nice. AA rating, that's very financial, but it's good too, of AA level. Fact is, I have no idea what this thing means, so I cannot talk about that. The AA I was thinking about, it's actually that one. So for the few of you that may be unfamiliar with how AA meeting works, it's actually pretty simple. They have basic rules. The first and most important rule is that the only people that can go to an AA meeting are people with a drinking problem, meaning they are between themselves, there is no supervisor, there is no social staff, there is no doctor there. They are there together. The second thing is what they are doing there. But the first thing is they recognize that they have a problem. It's very important. And then they talk about it. And the fact about talking is that it's not me talking about your alcoholic problem. It's me talking about my problem. Now, okay, I like to go out with people and friends, and each time there's alcoholic, and so I get drunk. And what's important then is that the group give support, saying, oh, I don't know, and try to help. Maybe you could find other friends, or maybe you could find an activity where drinking is a bad idea, like go swimming. I don't know. That's the way it works, pretty simple. Now, you may say something like, okay, no, stop, I'm a developer, I'm not an alcoholic. Or any way you can be, but it's not what matters today. The fact is, I'm a developer too, and I still have a problem. So, hi, I'm Martin, I have a problem. My code sucks. And I'll be honest, my code sucks, but your code sucks too. I think everyone's code sucks. At some point, each of us, let's be honest, I'll try to start it, I recognize it, I write code that sucks. So there is something there we can use. Let's take a look at this format and see what we can do. Let's take a bunch of developers from a team together. Only people that are coding. No manager, no non-coding staff. It's very important that it's only the problem, the people that need the therapy that are there. And try to use that way. Meaning everyone bring a piece of code that sucks. That means, of course, this piece of code, you must write it yourself. It's not about bringing a piece of code that your colleague did so that you can put the finger on it. And then the idea is that we take two, and each of us come and say, okay, here's a piece of code that I wrote that sucks. And we try to help, meaning, and okay, this is a way you could do to improve it. This is something we could do. And also it helped me because it gives me support, because I have the understanding. After all, you wrote code that sucks too. So we are feeling like a community there. How to make this work? Remember two basic things. First of all, everyone make mistakes. Meaning, be sensible in the feedback you give. It's about the code, it's not about the people. On the other side, you are not your code. Meaning, it's learning to accept feedback gracefully. It's not because you tell me my code is bad that I need to get back at you saying, wow, how do you dare? That's an insult. Basic version, relax, enjoy, try to learn something. This is something I actually do. It's kind of experience. What I learned is, first of all, it's a very inefficient way to improve code, which is actually fine. It's not about that. It's about improving and learning together. Something also, if you have a team with senior or junior people, let go a senior go first. That will help the junior to understand that even senior people write code that sucks, and that they can come before the scene and show that. Why do this kind of stuff? Because, well, we are all of there because we want to improve. Improve means, for me, trying other stuff to improve also. It's about like a process. I'm trying stuff because, well, I look for a new way. So try this, try something else, but try. I'll put it another way. Like Avdi say, you got to try this. It's not really about which this it is. That's basically it. I'm Martin, and my code sucks. Thank you.
Good. So, hi everyone. I'm Leah Veru. I decided to attend this talk at like the last this conference at like the last moment, and I thought, finally, after all these years of speaking at conferences, one conference I don't have to speak and I just enjoy. And then somebody convinced me to give a lightning talk, so I guess I can't escape it. Here I am then. So this is a CSS talk. How many of you write CSS? Great, more than I thought. Brilliant. So this is about how you can make lightbox transitions just with CSS, which we used in webplatform.org when I was working at W3C. So I'm sure you've seen this effect tons of times before in photo galleries or videos or all sorts of modal dialogues. So here in the homepage of Web Platform, if you click this, you get this sort of video. There's no video now because my connectivity is kind of broken, but there should be a video here, and the main thing to notice is the effect, the animation when it grows and when you close it, how it closes, the overlay, all of that. So usually people use JavaScript for this. You don't need to. You can just do it with CSS, and it degrades very gracefully. So let's look at this simple example. There's a div with a background image. If I press my keyboard arrow keys, it gets bigger, it gets a class of current, and the HTML looks like this. It's just a div with a class of lightbox. The CSS looks like this, pretty simple. A width and height of 0, a background with the background image, a box shadow, and when it gets the class of current, it gets a width and height of 70% and 80%. This is just dummy code. It could be different, but you get the main idea. So if you use CSS transitions to smooth this out, you can write something like this, which basically tells the browser, any property you can animate, please animate it. So then you get this, this kind of transition, which is close, but it's not exactly what we wanted. We don't want the width and height to increase at the same time. We want them to animate in sequence. First the height, then the width. And when it closes, first the height, and then the width in reverse. So to do this effect in CSS, you need to know three things about CSS transitions. One of them is that you can constrain transitions by CSS property. So if I write width here, only the width animates. The second thing is you can introduce a delay by providing a second time value. So if I provide a 1 second delay, the height animates instantly, but the width takes a second. Both of these seem pretty useless until I tell you the third thing. You can have multiple different transitions with different parameters. So if I have a width transition of 1 second and a height transition of 1 second with a 1 second delay, effectively the height transition needs to wait for the width transition to finish, which means they happen in sequence, which is almost what we wanted, except it doesn't reverse. In both cases, even when it grows and when it shrinks, it's still first height, then width, which is not what we wanted. But we can specify different transitions for each state. So we can have one transition for lightbox and another one for lightbox when it has the class of current. And we can just reverse their order. So if we reverse the properties here, now we pretty much get the effect we wanted for both cases. But we can make it even better. We can make the overlay as well with CSS. So by default, we have this box shadow. But if we add it here, and we add another one here, with no offsets, no blur radius, and a huge spread, and give it a semi-transparent black, then when it grows, you will get an overlay that's also pure CSS. But that's no good if we can't animate it. Of course we can animate it, though. You can provide a duration of like 0.5 seconds, a delay of 2 seconds so that the width and height has finished, and specify that you want to animate the box shadow. And we need to add a dummy one here as well, with the same spread radius and a transparent color. Otherwise, it won't show properly. So there you have it, an overlay that's also animated, and the other way around, also animated. So browser support for transitions is pretty decent. IE10 supports them, i9 and 8 doesn't, but the good thing is they degrade very gracefully. So when we used this effect on webplatform.org, we knew browser support was not perfect, but on i9 and i8, people still see the dialogue, they just don't see any animation. So it still works. So that's about it. Thank you.
All right, that works. Okay, hello everybody. This is my talk, Functional Patterns in Ruby. So the story kind of starts with me writing this little library called hexp. So hexp is like sexp, it's like as expressions, but in Ruby for generating HTML. It's awesome, it has all kinds of good uses, but that's not what this talk is about. If you want to hear about this and about security and formal languages, you should all come to RubyConf Argentina. I'll be speaking there, and Jano will be there. It's end of November. It's going to be really cool. But one of the constraints that I set myself for this library is that I wanted everything to be immutable. And so you quickly sort of end up doing things in a very, very functional way, because you can't mutate any state. So these are just some random patterns and things that I picked up while experimenting with this. So yeah, first thing is, like, if it's immutable, you have to make it immutable, make sure that it is actually immutable. So you start just by freezing everything. And there's freezing and then there's freezing. Like, if you would just freeze this outer array, that would be a shallow freeze, but you could still mutate the strings in there. So you could write like all these freeze statements, or there's a gem, ice9, that just can freeze any arbitrary object graph, arrays, hashes. It's pretty cool. It's from the data mapper guys. Another thing is that, so I think it's 193, I'm not sure, that introduced this shorthand for call. So this works when you have a proc object or a lambda object, but it also just works on any object that implements call. And so you can sort of pull your functions, your functional stuff in little classes, give them names. But it gets better. Oh, I think something fell off here. Is it? Oh, that's too bad. OK. So the thing is, if you do this, you can use this class like this, but you can't use it like with an ampersand when you say you want to map over something and you want to square the whole array. That's not going to work. You have to make sure that it implements toProc. But if you just make sure that it does, then you can just use an ampersand before an instance, and it kind of behaves like a lambda. You can map over it. And Ruby has more and more functional stuff built in, like you can call curry on a lambda object. And so here, if we just delegate this curry to our toProc method, then we can start currying our function object, and say, like, we have now multiply by 3, and then we say array.map ampersand multiply by 3. So these are kind of cool things that you can do. And also, when you have this object now that encapsulates this function, you have the main call that probably is just going to take an input value and give an output value of a similar type. But you can give it some parameters in the constructor with maybe some defaults. And then if you delegate the call on the class itself, then you can just use the class as a callable. Or if you want to add parameters, then you say class.new and put extra parameters. And you can put extra functions in there that sort of behave like lets in Lisp or in RSpec, especially if you memorize them sort of to do intermediate computations, sort of all captured in there. This is a fun thing that I didn't end up really using, but it's kind of cool that you can do this in Ruby. Just implement the pipe, it's the binary OR, I guess it is, and you can basically write like it's shellcode, just like pipe values through it. And so it works with your custom calculation classes just like it works with Lambda, because they all just implement call. So that's fun. But another thing is, if all your classes, and especially if your collections are immutable, us Rubyists, we want to use this neat shovel operator to shovel things into our collections. But the collection itself doesn't change. It returns a new collection with something extra added on top of it. So here you just throw away the new collection, nothing happens. So what you can do there is use this neat operator to reassign every time, and then it just works. I'm running out of time here, but this is also kind of handy. If you're going to do lots of filter, map, inject, give those names, can just assign them to a variable or put them in a method. Now, if you're going to start doing more and more functional stuff, you're going to run into performance issues because Ruby isn't really made for this. But for instance, Clojure has really good data structures that are what they call persistent, which make them much more memory efficient. And Ruby 2.1 is going to have a sort of generational garbage collector. They can't really because of C extensions. Till call optimization is in there, but you have to switch it on, and there's discussion if it's going to be on by default. And there's this new syntax, like put an F on a string, and then it's frozen. And I hope they're going to do the same thing for arrays and hashes. That would be really awesome. So that's all I got. Thanks.
About DBD, a data store that never forgets, or almost. So I come from a semantic web background. It's RDF-based. So what you have in RDF is that the whole data is stored as a list of triples. Triples are simple structures with a subject. Could be me, for instance. A predicate could be first name, last name, date of birth, is present at conference, and then the object is the result of that. So first name Peter, date of birth a few years ago, and for instance, I'm present at this ArrrrCamp 2013. But there's a few things lacking in that I missed. So there's two major concepts that I want to add to it. Is fine-grained context, I call it. Context is what is this fact about? Like the fact that this subject's first name is Peter. So where does it come from? Well, it comes from maybe a birth certificate. What's the privacy level? That could be pretty public. Encryption level could be clear. But then there's another, like my date of birth. That could be private, could be encrypted in the same data store. So I can mix public, private, encrypted, non-encrypted, and data coming from different sources. So that's the first thing that I miss in classic RDF. There is a graph concept, but it's very broad, and I want to fine-grained. You understand that about the same subject, some information about myself, first name is public, some other information, date of birth is private. And then there's a second large feature that I miss, is I want this concept of append-only log-based structures. Has a number of advantages. That's the never forgetting. You just add facts. You never change old facts. You just add facts. Has a number of advantages. You can window data sources. This solves the problem of, like, we had like 180 gigabytes of medical publications, and then a month later there's 185 gigabytes, but there was no real solution to add only the new 5 gigabytes of medical publications and do updates on the few publications that changed. If you have an append-only, you can just have a windowing system where you only add the latest month of publications. It offers a perfect backup in the sense of this list of facts is the full backup of everything that ever was in your database. You can always go back to any random time. You can do privacy. This is a bit tricky, but because you have only one file that's a full backup, if someone asks, I want to have my data removed from your data store, you can actually remove these few facts, have a new copy of the file, and you still have your full backup, and it's not like you have old backups hanging around with that person's private information. Also, Nathan Mars, author of Storm and other important projects, he calls this also a defense against false. Eventually, something will break in your software. You start corrupting data. If you have an append-only system, at least all the data before you introduce the error will still be correct. There's an effect here. Because you can only append new data, you need to revoke old facts. For instance, if I enter now the London population 10 million, and next year would be London population 10,200,000, I need to be able to revoke that old fact. So what's the implementation? Typically, you have triples because there's three things, subject, predicate, object, and I add 3 fields to the basic data. So I add a context ID, that's a reference to a context that has this private, public encryption levels. I add a unique ID, which I need to be able to revoke an old fact, to revoke, oh yes, last year we said that London has 10 million people, now we know it's different, I have to revoke the old fact. And a timestamp, so I get a monotonic order, a hard monotonic order between all the facts, so I can do windowing. Next to this data aspect, it's also a bit of a personal exercise in just making a pet project and trying to do it in the proper way. So I use Travis CI, both MRI, JRuby. It's very interesting because sometimes there are some things that are different and you find differences. Code climate, this is a bit funny. Let's see if I can get there. So in Code climate, this project gets like all A's, 4.0. That's good. And then on pull review, well, there's still 429 open issues. So I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Okay, what has been mentioned before? Pair with me, that's fun. Like there's an American guy, Mark Simoneau, that paired with me. And then reading Pooter, I think it's a good book. Thank you for your time.